stuck in books. A lot of books. We're buried in books.
We survived.
Just barely.
We crawled out from under a pile of books.
And we're going to share them with you today.
Yeah. Welcome back to our channel. We are Shelf Possessed. I am Craig.
I'm David.
And before we show you any of these books that we bought, we're going to roll the footage of our book buying trip. You'll see we decided to go to some local bookstores. Some used bookstores, some new bookstores, and we spent a lot of money, like a lot of money. So before you see the haul, we're going to show you the footage of us out shopping. So we hope you enjoy that. And then when that's over, we'll be right back to haul all these beautiful books for you. So enjoy. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Well, you can see we've got two giant boxes of books, and we're gonna get rid of them. Boxes, they're not boxes, they're bags of books.
Bags of books. Probably going to get more bags of books.
Yeah. So we just want to welcome you. We're gonna go on a little book shopping trip today. We're gonna visit almost every used bookstore in our area, see what we can find, see what we can purge, and then take you with us. So are you excited?
Our wallets are not excited.
No. David hates shopping, but we'll get him there eventually. We'll see you back in here in a little bit. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on the little trip there that we took. We hope you enjoyed that. We made quite a trek that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot all over the heartland.
By the end of that day, David's blood sugar was a little low, so we had to come home. Yeah. But we still ended up with a lot of books.
Quite a lot.
Yeah. So we're going to just share the books with you, why we bought them, and then just give you a little preview of what they're about. So maybe you'll want to pick one of these up. So you saw this in the video, but just as a little recap, we went to 2 half-price books in our local area, and we also went to a used bookstore called Prospero's Books. I had never been there before. You'd been there before.
It was my childhood. It was my teenage years. It was my young adulthood. Spent a lot of time there. What did you think about it?
I really liked it. I don't know if you could hear it in the audio or not, but you know you're in a used bookstore when every time you move, the floor creaks and like something like happens. Yeah.
I think what's really jarring at first, if you've never been there before, there is like plexiglass on the floor. So when you're walking over, if you don't notice that, you can fall and trip.
Yeah. There's also these really cool spots in the, like when we went upstairs, there's these really cool like plexiglass pieces in the wall where they've created these like little dioramas in the wall. It's really cool. And it's a used bookstore. Like they don't have new books, but I managed to find 2 like brand new releases there, which I was very surprised by. And I definitely want to go back because I felt like the only thing I don't love about used bookstores, especially if they're large, is that there's so much to look at, and like everything is just filed away in general fiction. So like mystery, thriller, horror, all that stuff is in general fiction, and so you kind of really have to have the time.
I think there's a point in it, because I think that's what I loved about it when I was growing up, is that you could spend hours in there, and you kind of want to spend hours in that bookstore.
Yeah.
Because you'll find a lot of stuff that you didn't even know. Like I was looking for one book in particular that I have not found, and I didn't want to get it on Amazon, but then I found it there, and that was so you just find those kind of little gems in those types of bookstores. So.
The other funny thing about that was, as we were leaving, I was checking out, and like all of the prices are written inside the book. So like, and I expected him to just like look at them and ring them all up. But this man literally looked at the prices. Like I could see his brain working, did the math in his head, and was like, "Yeah, let's do $45," and just like rounded up to a number, or just found a number. And I think even after told him up, I think he actually gave us a discount or something. So like we didn't spend nearly as much as I imagined we would spend.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's a great bookstore.
So half price Prospero's. I also you didn't see this in the video, but I made a little Barnes and Noble run, and maybe
a couple of runs.
I didn't film those mostly because I had some trauma related to one of the Barnes and Noble trips, which I'm going to record a whole story time video where I kind of walk you through all of what happened, so you can kind of venture along that journey with me, which would be fun. So should we just like crack into the haul?
Yep.
The first book I found at Half Price Books was Casey McQuiston's One Last Stop. I loved Red, White, and Royal Blue. This didn't get as good of reviews, I don't think, but I was still really interested to read it, and I saw it for like $8, so I picked it up. And I do like her writing a lot because I liked that book. Her newest one is I Kissed Shara Wheeler, and it's YA, so I didn't grab it, but I'm curious what this one will be like. So that's my first one. My next one is I brought new, which is Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. This has been on my wish list for a while, and then I watched Noelle Gallagher do some book recommendation videos, and she talked about Evelyn Hugo, and which we both just finished this month, and she recommended this book if you liked that book, and I was like, well, then I have to get it because you'll see, loved Evelyn Hugo again. So I picked up this one as well.
When I interviewed Chelsea G. Summers, she talked about a book that kind of inspired her, and that was Gail Green's Insatiable. So I've been looking for this book for a very long time. It was on Amazon. I didn't want to really get it on Amazon, but I found it at Prospero's. It was just right out there in the open. Anytime I go to a bookstore, I can never find this book, and then I found it. So I'm really interested in Gail Green's work. She talks about food. She talks about her kind of affair and her tryst with Elvis Presley. So that made me extremely happy. So I'm excited to get into that one.
I was honestly surprised when I saw that, but then I read about it and I was like, actually, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
So this next one I found at Half Price Books, which I was super excited for. It's Holding by Graham Norton. It's a beautiful cover. And it is, Graham Norton has 3 books out now, and 2 of them are like cozy mysteries kind of, and that's this one. And so I was super excited to read this. It takes place in an Irish village, and I was super stoked to try it out. I like Graham Norton as a personality quite a bit, and so I'm curious what his writing is like. So
I wanted to get back into Chuck Palahniuk's work, and the first one I got was Haunted. And if you haven't read this book, well, if you have, please put a message down in the comments below if you've read, especially that first chapter. A very interesting book. I haven't read a lot of his work. I've read a few of his books, but I wanted to get this one because this one sounded a little creepy at first. I think the most creepy thing about this book is that I went to bed reading it, and then when it was time to turn off the lights, so see, here we go. This is my little reading area here. Okay, so see, there is his book, Haunted. I talk a lot about this in our video here, but I want you to see what we saw the night that I first got this book and decided to, you know, slip in under the covers and have a nice read. And then, you know, once we get to sleep, I come over here and I turn off the light, and this is what we see in the dark. Is it brilliant? Is it scary? Is it gonna F you up? Well, it did all 3 for us. So there you go. So this one went immediately out in the hallway so I could at least sleep without thinking, you know, somebody was watching me. So there you go.
It was creepy, yeah.
We went to bed, lights went off, and I kind of look over and I see this glowing face
On the nightstand.
and I said, Craig, just look over here. And he saw the face. I didn't know
yelped, I think I
that
yelped.
this glows in the dark. So I had to immediately take that off my nightstand and go put it out in the hallway. I read that first chapter and then I kind of stopped because I was like, I don't know if I want to continue on, but we'll see about that.
Yeah. His writing is interesting, and I've always wanted to read more, but then every time I read something, I get not grossed out, but something pushes me backwards from his writing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I think with that, it's a short story collection, so you can kind of stop and go back.
Is the
if you
pool
want
story
to.
in that one?
Yes, that's like.
Oh!
I think that's one of the first ones that kind of pops up.
That's one of the first things I ever read by him, and I was like, I don't think I can ever
Yeah.
read anything
I was
else.
like, I was like, that's what that was the first one that I read before we went to sleep, and I was like, I'm scared of pools.
You are already scared of pools,
I
so
don't like pools.
yeah. This next one is I mentioned in the reading vlog that I wanted to read this because I had read My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing, and so I found He Started It by Samantha Downing, which I love the cover, and I very, very much wanted to read this since I saw it, and I think like there were several times when we were at Barnes & Noble like a year ago or so where I saw it and I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting, and I was like, man, maybe later, I have other things I want to read. So I just saw it, so I picked it up and I was super stoked about it. A group of siblings and their partners have to go on a cross-country road trip to fulfill their dead grandfather's last wish. It's like they all have to kind of fight against each other. There's revenge involved. Like, it just looks really, really interesting. So yeah. This next one we did not find when we were out, but David bought it for me as it was on one of my wish lists. And that is Andrew Lipstein's Last Resort, which is about a young man's Faustian bargain to be relevant and authentic. And kind of what happens. He's a writer, and I think he's struggling with trying to create something. I put it on my wish list a long time ago. I actually kind of forgot. I forgot it was on my wish list. And then it was just sitting there, and then he put it for me. So I'm excited to read that as well.
Woohoo.
Yeah. My next one we found at Prospero's, which I was so surprised by. The cover creeps David out. He didn't want me to buy it, but that's David Sedaris' Happy Go Lucky, which is his new collection, which just came out like 2 weeks ago, maybe end of May, I think. I already have the audio for this, so I'd already planned just to listen to it. But when I saw the actual book, I have every other David Sedaris book, so I was like, why not? And I just love him so much. I love listening to his voice, read the stories. I love him in person. I've met him a few times, and he's just great. So
It's also really cheap too.
yeah, this was half price of basically what it would be on a normal price. So, you know, and even less than half price technically.
And I think that's what I like about Prospero's too, because there's a small section of new releases that, and he gives his customers a really good price on them too. So.
Yeah, so I was excited to have that one as well. The other one that I found at Prospero's it's also a new release is Cult Classic by Sloane Crossley. If you haven't read I Was Told There Would Be Cake, you should read it. It's a phenomenal essay collection. Love her a lot. And she's written a few other things since then. This book I've heard really good things about. It is essentially about a woman who is in a relationship and can't decide if she wants to like move forward with her current relationship, and then she continues to meet her exes on the street, and it's revealed that there's some sort of like cult of some sort that's like trying to like pull her in and forcing her to make a decision. Everyone has said it's about like modern love and about how we make the choices that we make, and I like her voice quite a bit, and I love this cover. I think this cover is beautiful.
I don't know what's scarier. I mean,
Seeing all your exes.
All your exes in the same, like around the same time.
The next one I got was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I found the paperback version, and I think it was buy one get one half off, which was great. And we've had the audio since it came out, and I just haven't listened to it. And after reading Evelyn Hugo, he told me that I need to read this. So
not a lot of people like that book, and I don't know why. I really, really had fun with this book, and I liked all of the characters in it. But we do get a character from Evelyn Hugo in this, and another character in Taylor's new book coming out.
Carrie Soto is back.
In that book, and she makes a very, just a very blasting debut in that book.
And it's short, and I think I can actually get through it. It's only 350 pages. I think I can get through it pretty fast, and he loved it, so I'm going to check it out.
Because you had reservations about the new book being about tennis. I think once you read it and you figure out who Carrie Soto is, you're going to
want to read
because it. She kind of it's just a little like blip.
Yeah.
She just kind of comes in and then she leaves. So I'm glad she's getting her own book, because if you've read it, she's off the rails.
Well, and apparently all of these books are, not all of her books, but these next two I think are all going to be connected back to Evelyn Hugo in one way or another. So I'm excited to kind of read that as well. How are all of these mine?
Because I still have a backlist of stuff that I need to read.
The next book I found, I was at Barnes & Noble, and I was searching for another, like, they were doing the buy one, get one half off sale. And so I had a book in my hand, and I was like, I needed to get another one. And this one was just sitting on the counter, which was Never Let Me Go by Kazu Ishiguro, which I love this movie. If you've never seen this movie, you should see it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Like, I've now seen it twice. He still hasn't. And I knew it was a book, but never really had the interest in reading it. But when I saw it, I was like, it's a short book. I like that movie. I might like the book. So I went and bought it. So the other book that I had in my hand that I was trying to find the 50% off book for was Susie Drummond's Queerly Beloved, which has a queer wedding cake on the cover. It's a semi-closeted queer baker and a bartender in the mid-2010s in Tulsa. And then they meet each other, and yeah. So there's a lot of pop culture references. I need more queer romances, and I've been reading a lot of gay romances, so I wanted some lesbian romances here as well, so that's why I picked up this one. My next one is another romance. I after I read one of our romance books this month, I kind of said I think I'm gonna take a break on romances because they've been getting a little too steamy. But the ones I've gotten, I think, are actually not going to be in that same vein. But this one is A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall, which it's a trans historical romance with a trans lead character, and it has that kind of like Bridgerton feel to it. And we've had the audio for this for a while as well, so I wanted to pick up the physical copy so I could keep it if I really liked it. So I saw this one on sale as well. Give it a try.
Read that.
You would read that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have the audio from Libro, so you should have access to that too.
Okay.
Well, you saw in our TBR video that I decided to read A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And you'll see in the wrap up, but I wasn't into it for the first like 150, 200 pages. And it wasn't until the end that it sucked me in, which I was kind of surprised by. And so because of that, I decided, you know what, I'll just keep going. And I bought A Court of Mist and Fury, which is book number 2. But I bought the hardback version because if I'm going to read these and I'm going to like them, I'm going to keep them and I want them to look nice. And so I'm going to go back and buy A Court of Thorn and Roses in hardback as well. But this baby she thick. So I haven't started it yet, but it's next on my list. So, and then I decided, because I really liked Court of Thorn and Roses, that I'm going to give her newest series a try as well. And so I bought Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas as well. And if I thought this baby was thick, this baby is thicker. That's thick. And that's in paperback too. So, because we kept seeing the sequel, I saw the sequel used at half price. And it was a Barnes & Noble edition, and it was signed, and they wanted $36 for it. And the lady was like, yeah, but it's out of print. That's why you can't, And all of these books, all of the court books are, to buy them used, they're insane. So I thought I'll give this one a try as well and see how I feel. There's only 2 books right now. I don't feel super overwhelmed by that. And everyone I've talked to about this has said, you'll like the first 3, and after that, it might drop off. So if that's the case, that's the case. But it's summertime, why not?
One of my favorite authors is Mr. Grady Hendrix, and this is one of the only books that I haven't read of his, and that is We Sold Our Souls. This
it's
also
his first book, right?
I think this was his first book. I kind of like this cover better than the original one because it's a little guitar pick with blood on it. Yeah, so I'm excited to read that.
I want to read that as well. So the next book that I have, I also found because of Noelle Gallagher's recommendations, because she talked about Dracula, and then she mentioned some other things, and she mentioned this book, which I did not know about, I hadn't heard about, and I don't do well with historical horror necessarily, but when I read about it and then I saw this cover, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this. So I got Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu, which is a vampire story that predates Dracula, and it's very sapphic. It's also very short. It's very scant. Short story, basically.
I thought those were flowers.
Yeah, no, those are bats. Those are definitely bats. So we have a sordid history with bats in this house. So, but I really loved the cover, this edition. It is edited by Carmen Maria Machado, who I like a lot as well. And there's some drawings in it, and it's short and sweet. I was kind of excited, just to kind of get a little bit of extra horror.
I like that. I'll read that too.
Yeah, I thought you would like that too.
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad at monopolizing this because a lot of these books I bought, he has got 3, and this whole stack is mine.
But we share books though too,
Yes.
so there's probably not the romance shit, but I think there's a few in there that I'll read.
I do want him to read a Sarah J. Maas book just to see how he feels, because he doesn't typically read fantasy. So I'd be curious to see what his reaction would be. But yeah. The next one I bought, again, I will link her channel below. 3 of these books I bought because of her channel. So Noelle Gallagher also recommended this book, which is called The Guide by Peter Heller. She talked about this book in reference to Severance by Ling Ma. So if you have heard of Severance, I started that book but never finished it because I started it early in the pandemic, and that book is about a pandemic, essentially. And I was like, I can't do this right now. So I put it down and got rid of it. But the guide is about something is happening, and there's like an exclusive fishing like village thing, and all the rich people are getting shuttled to this to be taken care of, and so this young man finds it and then is trying to get his way in. So it sounded really interesting. It sounded like a thriller, but also some more like a literary thriller. So I was kind of stoked by that. And it says, an ever so subtly dystopian wilderness noir. So I've never read anything like that. So I thought the cover was cool too. I liked it. So you read that one.
Yeah, I'll read that one. Craig also got me a few books. So I've been on a Greek mythology kick lately.
I like to think he got it from me.
And he got me Natalie Haynes' The Children of Jocasta, which Oedipus the King is probably one of my favorites because it's one that I always have to teach in my courses. And it's always a good jaw dropper when the students find out what it actually is.
Yeah.
And this one kind of talks about the children of Oedipus and Jocasta.
The next one I also got during the 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble because they were really pushing a lot. And I don't really buy YA. I don't read it very often. It's nothing against YA. I just have read a few things and I did not enjoy them, so I just don't do it. But when I heard about this book, I was like, okay, the cover is beautiful. And then it's this like dark fairy tale retelling of 12 Dancing Princesses, which is a really interesting story that is lesser known, I think, for the most part. But it's called House of Salt and Sorrow. It's not a series or anything, so I was like, I think I could probably handle this. But it's about these 12 sisters who live in this like manor by the sea, and they believe that they are cursed. And then there's a stranger that comes in that kind of changes some things for them. And it sounded really, really interesting. So I was like, I'll give it a try, see how I feel about it. Maybe it'll read really YA, maybe it won't, but I was excited by it. So this is a Jenga tower of books.
The next one that Craig bought me is Jennifer Saint's Electra,
which I'm also excited to read.
Continue on this Greek mythology kick. So I'm excited about that. I'm ready for her to go off.
My last two are, I saw a random YouTube video talking about this book, and they said it was one of the best thriller/horror books that they've ever read. And so I was like, you know what? I'll try it out. This is Jennifer Hillier's Jar of Hearts, which is supposed to be a wonderful thriller, horror, super scary, about a young girl that's disappeared and nobody has ever heard from her, but her remains get discovered in the woods. The only thing that made me nervous about this was that there is a police officer involved, and those typically don't fare well with me. Those kind of books don't fare well with me, but I have heard multiple people talking about how good this book is, so I'm excited to try that one out as well. And then my last one is the one I'm actually super excited for. I've heard people talk about this book before, but I have never seen it anywhere. And to buy it online is actually really hard. So I found it used at Half Price Books. And on the back of the book, it says, "On the Baltic Sea, no one can hear you scream." And then the cover, the book is called Blood Cruise. And the cover is brilliant. It's like a cruise ship hallway with blood all over the doorways. It says a must read for fans of Stephen King, and I'm not going to pronounce this name correctly, but the author is Mats Strandberg, and it's about a Swedish cruise ship called the Baltic Charisma, and it's a bunch of different people on this ship, and then something starts to go terribly awry.
We got these at Half Price Books. First one is Edith Hamilton's Mythology, Timeless Tales of Gods and Heroes, to kind of like supplement the other Greek mythology books, as well as this beautiful copy of Jessie Burton's Medusa, which has a lot of great
illustrations.
So I'm excited for that one. I think Medusa is probably one of my favorites.
Well, and there's also that book coming out in July that
That's a lot.
I did it.
So you got those. And I got these.
So yeah, we did some damage. But the positive, and the purpose of this trip, honestly, was to kind of visit used bookstores and not, you know, spend a crap ton of money on a bunch of new books. We did get some new books in here and there. And I was happy that we could find some of these, you know, even used. One of our favorite half-price books actually just closed down because they're moving, and they have some of the best inventory that we've ever found, right? Like that was, when you saw our last book haul, most of those books came from that one, and those were like, some of those were brand new, lots of good mysteries and thrillers, like, it was great. So I'm excited for that one to reopen at the end of July, and we'll maybe go back and see what we can find there.
Prosperous is probably one of my favorite bookstores. We're around our area where we live. In the comments below, kind of shout out your favorite used bookstores around your area. We can show them some love here on this channel as well.
And I hope that you enjoyed this. Comment down below, what books are you excited about? Have you heard of these? Is there one that you're, oh no!
Who can say?
You did that on purpose.
I did not. It literally just happened.
You did that on purpose.
It literally just happened.
Who are you, John Ritter?
Comment down below, which of these books are you the most excited for us to read? Is there one that you want us to put on our July TBR ASAP? Ones that you want to know about? We want to do it. So just let us know down below.
It's really difficult for me when we kind of set out to do our own TBR and then we go to a bookstore and we get more books. Then I get really excited about the new books, and I just want to. So I think when we do our wrap up, you may see a few of these in the wrap up, and ones that I was going to do maybe.
Well, we're midway through June at this point, and both of us are pretty well through our TBRs. We only have a few books left. Well, I am. David's struggling a little bit, I think, but so some of these may end up on our June wrap up anyway. So just keep an eye out for those.
I got 3 out of the 6 so far.
That's halfway through. We're only halfway through the month.
But then I added 2 more. All right, so that's a lot.
That's a lot of books. But thank you for coming back. Thank you for joining us again in our channel. We're so grateful for everyone who has stuck around and been here. This is our, as we said before in our other videos, this is our 1-year BookTube anniversary this month. So everything we're doing is kind of celebrating that. And we just love being here with you. If you haven't already liked the video, share the video with someone who may like it. Bring them into the family, get them on board. Comment down below what you think of our books, what you liked, what you didn't like. And check us out on Instagram.
At @shelf_possessed.
You can also check out our Goodreads and our Storygraph links in the description box below. There's also a great Libro FM affiliate link that you can click on to get some audiobooks if that's something that you're into. So check us out in those places. And thanks for coming back, and we will see you in the next one.